Avoidance is one of the most common responses to pain, and it disguises itself well. It can look like silence, irritability, staying busy, zoning out, or endlessly waiting for the right moment to deal with what's right in front of you. At first, it might feel protective. Over time, it becomes its own form of suffering. In this episode, we're going to talk about how avoidance shows up in your healing, why it can take over so quickly, and what it does to the connection between you and your partner. Whether you're carrying the pain of betrayal, the weight of causing it, or you're both stuck in the distance it creates. If your relationship has been shattered by betrayal and you feel stuck and lost, you're in the right place.
This is From Crisis to Connection, a closer look at the process of how couples in crisis transform betrayal into healing, rejuvenating connection.
Every episode, we dissect the healing journey so you can understand what actually works and what you can do to thrive again.
You'll step onto a clear path toward personal wholeness and vibrant partnership.
We are your hosts, Jeff and Jody Stewart.
In this episode, we're going to slow down and look at avoidance and how it operates in the healing process, how it takes hold in the betrayed partner as a response to overwhelm and emotional exhaustion, how it traps the recovering partner in shame and keeps them from fully engaging in repair, and how it quietly shapes the dynamic between the two of you as a couple. And we're going to explore the nervous system's role in avoidance, why it shows up when it does, and how it alters the relational climate when both partners begin orienting around pain instead of connection. And then we'll talk about how to begin shifting out of avoidance by restoring your capacity to engage in ways that actually build safety, trust, and movement, even if you feel stuck right now. When it comes to avoidance, I think it can show up lots of different ways.
Sure.
I think it's a pretty normal human response, whether it's conscious or unconscious. But I mean, avoidance ultimately, I don't think leads us to where we want to go.
Well, no.
I mean,
No.
so, I mean, we're talking about it as something that maybe to elevate our awareness or our consciousness around it, just so we can, we can actually get to where we're trying to go. So for betrayed partners, especially, I think avoidance can show up in different ways around, just the shock of discovery and all the chaos and messiness that comes after that.
Mm-hmm.
It can come from, not family patterns of just growing up in an avoidant or distant household where nothing was ever addressed. And so you just sort of use.
Yeah, maybe no skill set, no idea how to even begin talking or working through something.
Yeah.
Out in the open.
Yeah. Yeah. So there may not really be any reflexes toward addressing stuff directly or talking about the things that need to be talked about. And I also think avoidance can be something that, and again, I think so much of this is not conscious. I think there's occasionally we'll be like, oh, I'm going to put that off, or I'm going to avoid that. But I think that's more rare.
Yeah. Or maybe it's more likely that we're doing it and we're like, I see what I'm doing.
Oh.
So yeah, probably occasionally that happens, but more often than not, I think it's pretty underground.
Yeah.
I think it's possible to also have maybe the mistaken belief that I'll just stay busy and I'll get through this.
Mm-hmm.
Not recognizing that you can stay really busy in another area, but this is going to wait for you. This isn't going anywhere. But most things don't just get sorted out on their own without addressing them.
Yeah. Man, that's so true.
I mean, in some form. It doesn't have to be overt and direct and verbal, but it needs to be addressed. And sometimes it can be addressed in subtle, non-wordy ways.
Yeah.
But avoiding it doesn't change anything.
Yeah.
That's the point.
Yeah. So true. Yeah. I read a thought from a book recently where she was talking about an addiction. Basically, the phrase was, "It's okay, my dear. The truth is patient."
Yes, it is. I do think that it is sometimes a misunderstanding that you're being peaceful by avoiding, because then you're not fighting, in air quotes. And
Oh, yeah,
and
absolutely.
there's a very big difference between contention and confrontation.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't have to go to contention, but avoiding a confrontation, believing that you're being peaceful, is very misguided. That's not a peaceful move.
Yeah. And I think for so many, I mean, the majority of the betrayed partners I work with are women. And I think for women, this is probably something you could speak to, something that I think is more of a cultural expectation that women bypass, don't hit things head on, don't address things directly, that use maybe more subtlety, or just let things go, or just forgive, or just keep the peace.
Yeah, they're much, I mean, they're just more relationally wired. So yeah, that's just a constant area that they're navigating and aware of and working through. So yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, obviously it's not just a woman thing, because I certainly came into adulthood with a lot of these tendencies as well, from the way I was.
Are you saying
that
it's that women are more likely to be avoidant?
I'm asking if you think that's the case.
No.
You don't think so?
No, I don't think that's the case.
Okay.
I don't think that's the case.
I just wasn't sure, like, culturally, if there's more pressure for women to let things go, not respond, not address
I do
things.
think culturally that the role of women is to maintain relational cohesion.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe so. Maybe so. The pressure for women is very real. So whether it's more so, it probably doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
And women in general are not necessarily supported in being direct.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, maybe that's what I'm trying to get at. I think that piece is one of my observations, but I also believe that there's a temptation or a tendency when there's been a betrayal, or a betrayed partner is dealing with a tremendous amount of pain, to, in some ways, I don't know, just believe that they need to sort of decrease the intensity in their own life by just, whether it's pressure to let things go, or this collusion with the person who hurt them to, like, we're not going to talk about that, or just, quit bringing it up. And so it can just turn into this dance of avoidance, really, where a lot of betrayed partners feel like what they want to say or what they need to talk about, they either have external pressure not to, or maybe internal pressure to not address it because they don't want to hurt anymore. They just want it to go away. They're just tired.
Oh, sure. Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Because addressing things, facing them, yeah, it does mean that you'll have to have some open wounds and really look hard at things. And it might potentially mean conflict, whether that's where you individually are bringing that or not. Your partner might just respond with conflict when there are issues. And then there's the whole thing of picking your battles.
Mm-hmm.
So when there are so many things that need to be addressed, maybe some just have to be put aside so that the important ones can get attention. There's a lot there.
So what would you say to the betrayed partners listening here? How do you know when you're avoiding something?
Oh, I think we know.
We don't need a checklist?
I wouldn't think so.
Yeah, you feel like it just takes some honesty and self kind of.
Yeah, I guess a willingness to, like, look internally.
Yeah.
If you find yourself not wanting to look internally and not wanting to do that, there you go.
Uh-huh.
Because it's for whatever reason, because it's too painful, it's too hard. It just means more work for you, all the things.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
But at least name it.
Yeah.
And just say, okay, I'm not going to prioritize that right now.
Yeah. Maybe make it overt.
Mm-hmm.
Make a conscious decision about it. This is big. I don't know what to do with it. I'm putting it aside. I need to come back to it at some point, but right now I can't.
Yeah.
And then have the integrity to come back to it.
Yeah.
Make that a priority.
Which is so different than just basically numbing out, dissociating, or just avoiding and just not caring or thinking about it and just going through life on a,
Yeah, and thinking
autopilot.
that time will heal all wounds.
Yeah.
Which it doesn't really work like that.
No. No.
I mean, time can help. It can soften the sting.
Yeah, it can provide perspective and new experiences and stuff, but it doesn't let you escape from doing some of that work.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't. Time doesn't do the work. The work still needs to be done if you want connection, if that's the goal.
That's right. Avoidance often comes when your system is overwhelmed and you're trying to create relief. And it makes sense that you would just want space from all the pain. So when you notice yourself pulling away or going numb, that awareness is the beginning of healing. Naming what feels too heavy allows you to stay honest with yourself and make conscious choices about what needs attention when you're ready. Staying connected to your own truth is actually what restores clarity, dignity, and forward movement.
So avoidance around somebody hurting you, somebody doing something that is deeply hurtful, that's like a betrayal, and avoiding those, having to work through the deep pain of those feelings that comes up.
Mm-hmm.
That feels different to me than avoiding the pain of accountability because you have caused somebody hurt. But are they different? I mean, either way, it's avoiding pain.
Yeah.
But avoiding accountability feels just more, I hate to say this, it just feels more cowardly than avoiding the reality that someone has raked you over the coals.
Yeah.
So
I know. I know that word's loaded.
Yeah.
And I know you're careful about not, shaming people, whatever. But I do think it's fair to say that if you've hurt someone, you have a responsibility to face the impact you've had on somebody.
Yeah.
And to me, that takes courage and humility. And I think generally we don't think highly of people culturally who avoid accountability. So I think words like, cowardly, or they're avoiding accountability. We use words like that to say, you have a responsibility. You need to come face what you did. We require that of our children generally. We consider that pretty good parenting.
Mm-hmm.
If you've hit your sister, you need to go own it. We don't usually like people to get away with something and not care. So I think it's a fine way to phrase it, because I think that is different in terms of somebody who's been hurt, victimized, injured, who's just overwhelmed, in shock and trauma, and maybe not ready to face that, or they're trying to face it, or they're just trying to calm themselves down or just feel more secure. It feels like there's different tasks, even though they both ultimately require courage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What do you think of that distinction there?
This goes back to the betrayed partner experience a little bit. I'm guessing that a fair amount, you have women come into your office who are doing a lot of owning of accountability and facing things that they shouldn't, while their partner isn't.
Yeah. That happens. And you mean like they're taking responsibility
Yes,
for things that are not even theirs?
Yes, because the relationship is fractured and something needs to happen. Something needs to be done.
Mm-hmm.
And if he's avoiding, she is very likely trying to step in and take accountability for the relationship, for the repair, for the recovery,
Happens
that
all
kind
the
of
time.
stuff.
Happens all the time. And I think that I'll add one piece to that. There's a lot of women who self-impose that, who believe that's just their responsibility. Like you were saying, the relational monitoring. But I also think there's a lot of external messages from the person that hurt them, even from church leaders, from family members. They almost look to her like, you've got to hold this together. You've got to do something with it. You. And so a lot of the times she doesn't really have as easy of an option to avoid because she's in a ton of pain. There's a lot of people sort of trying, what are you going to do kind of stuff, you know?
To her specifically.
That's what I see.
And then she feels the need to have an answer for that, where it goes totally unrecognized that it's not hers to do something about. Like her job is personal healing.
That's right.
Around this, and it's not her job to sort out the relationship while he is doing avoiding around it.
And that's the big qualifier.
Mm-hmm.
There is relational work to do for both of them eventually if they want to work together. But what you just said is really critical, which is if there's active avoidance going on in his part where he's not facing the accountability, he's not open to hearing the effect he's had, he's not changing any of his patterns, not taking a look at it, really allowing her to just scramble and figure out how to hold this together or how to whatever she decides to do, then yeah, that's not relationship. That's not partnership. That's not working. That's not, I mean, that's basically a dereliction of duty for him. That's him abandoning his post. That's him not making it possible for there to be a relationship. And that's on him. Mm-hmm. And you're right. Her work, they both have work to do. It's just going to look different. Mm-hmm. Different responsibilities, especially we're talking specifically kind of early recovery, post-discovery.
Yeah, I mean,
and that has to get organized.
Yes, it has to get organized. But when those skills have not been practiced over time, I want to say it can take years.
For sure.
I mean, so well past early discovery to really uproot those kinds of behavior patterns.
Oh, for sure.
In your relationship.
Yeah, exactly. I think if those things are not, I mean, that's where I work with a lot of couples who come in where discoveries happened years ago and it's never really been organized correctly or addressed correctly. And the balance of accountability and responsibility it's still imbalanced. It's still not set correctly. Mm-hmm. And you're right. That has to be organized in that way. The person who broke the trust, the person who's created the damage and been participating in these behaviors, they absolutely have to learn how to step out of avoidance. And a lot of the reasons they may avoid, you can have compassion for them, whatever. There could be childhood trauma. There could be family of origin dynamics and patterns where, they were never modeled or had experience with facing hard things. There can be lots of legitimate reasons for avoidance, but ultimately the work doesn't care why you struggle with avoidance. Things just have to be worked on. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. They're contributing factors, but they have nothing to do with the responsibility.
Yeah. It's like the question that the late Mark Laser said, where he would sit down with people who had broken trust and crossed all kinds of lines. And he would just sit down and his first question to him was always the same, which is, do you want to get well? Mm-hmm. He wasn't like, well, based on everything about your past, whatever, do you think you want it? Can you? Do you think it's He was just like,
right. How bad do you want
this? Do you want to face this?
Do you want your marriage to survive intact?
Right. Which we could phrase as, do you want to keep avoiding?
Yeah.
That's really the essence of it. So yeah, for the recovering partner, I think the avoidant thing is very much a direct binary yes or no choice of, are you going to keep avoiding or are you willing to face the work you have to do? Mm-hmm. And I think for betrayed partners, I mean, they certainly have the choice to not look at anything and avoid. That happens. But I think it's in their face so much that they wish they could avoid more of it.
Oh. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can totally see that.
Yeah. Yeah. So I hope recovering partners who are listening, I hope they can be brave and do that, because
that's a choice.
They're going to feel better ultimately facing it than avoiding it.
Avoidance interrupts healing. When you turn away from the impact of your actions, everything stays stuck. Facing what happened and how it affected your partner is the doorway to restoration. Accountability is not a feeling you wait for, it is a posture you choose. So each time you step toward honesty and ownership, you create safety, you rebuild trust, and you reclaim your own integrity.
So when it comes to couples, I think couples can, unintentionally get into what I would call like a dance or a collusion around avoidance. You with me on that?
I don't know. I don't know if I agree with unintentionally.
Okay, say more.
I think sometimes we just really value the homeostasis, the things just like feeling like they're not spinning out of control or volatile so on both parts, I think we can just kind of together work toward that instead of doing the grueling work, which will cause throwing us off course.
This is one thing I love about you and your strength. I'm not kidding. You have such a natural, and I'm not going to make it like it's a passive thing. You have made a decision in your life to just face the hard things. And so when anybody tries to give, including me here in this conversation, some sort of soft pass or whatever to say like, oh, it could be unintentional, whatever. I think I love that about you, where you're just like, oh no, people know when they're avoiding. It's very much a conscious thing of like, I could face this, but I'm not going to. Is that what you're saying? Because
yeah.
I feel like that's a lot of how you see the world, and I appreciate that.
Well, it is, but I guess to me, I don't think for myself or anybody really wants to see the world in terms that like they can't do something about.
There you go.
And so the more we talk about it in terms of I'm making a choice and and the results are pretty crummy, so I'm going to make a different choice.
Right.
I mean, it doesn't mean that's always cause and effect.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, we don't need to talk about ourselves like we're victims or like so much is going on that's unintentional.
Yeah.
Because I
and
think
how are we
that
supposed to change?
It might be nonverbal. Mm-hmm. We might have kind of come to some kind of undiscussed agreement that we just like when there's no activity, no emotional or verbal activity, and that just feels better because it feels comfortable.
I think that's what I was trying to wrap words around. I think that's the dynamic I'm saying. I think couples can get pulled into that or lulled into that.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. That is the thing. Mm-hmm. It's just that we don't passively end up there.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Okay. Yeah. And that's what I love about you're just like, oh, I think along the way people know that they're not addressing something, or together we're just sort of gonna let this go and not address it, and then they stay stuck forever.
Yes. And I think the thing that is unintentional, which they can't project, is what the results are going to be.
Ooh.
So I think oftentimes we find ourselves in places where we're like, oh, look at where I am now. And it's because I kind of chose to handle things like this.
Yeah.
So that the consequences can be unintentional because we don't recognize how things are going to play out.
Yeah.
But as soon as you discover that, then you don't have to stay stuck there.
And it can take one to tango, right?
Yes, it can.
One person can just say, I think we're doing this thing. I know I am.
Yeah. Just step out of a bad dynamic, do it differently, and then the whole thing changes.
Shifts the whole system. Yeah.
Although
it's an invitation.
The system will put an immense amount of pressure on you to go back to what it used to be.
That's the dang truth.
And so you just, when it's not really simple and smooth and gliding, just know that's how it goes.
Homeostasis, man. The warm blanket, the warm heat rock and food pellets and terrarium. It's just right.
Yep.
We just want to stop hurting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So back to our original setup is we don't love the pain.
Yeah.
And the pain is hard. Avoiding the pain is comfortable.
Yeah.
But it just doesn't move the needle.
No. When avoidance becomes part of the relationship, It shapes every interaction and keeps you both circling the same pain. So the moment one of you names what's happening, the pattern actually begins to shift. Facing what's real together or even individually creates a path forward. Change begins with a willingness to engage, even in small ways. And those moments of engagement are what start to restore connection and movement in the relationship.
If you're listening today and realizing how much avoidance has shaped the way you show up in your healing, you may be wondering where to even begin reconnecting with your partner in a way that doesn't feel overwhelming. That's exactly why we created You, Me, Us. It's a simple, guided starting point to help you re-enter connection with structure and safety. It walks you through small, meaningful conversations that rebuild emotional engagement without pushing you into anything you're not ready for. It's a way to stop avoiding and start gently leaning back into the relationship in a way that supports both of you. You can download it for free using the link in the show notes and have access to it right away. Before we sign off, we want to show you an example of couples doing the work of healing, learning, and growth. It doesn't matter where you are in your journey as a couple, because the work never stops, it just changes.
So the example today actually comes from a couple I was talking with recently, and I have their permission to talk about this. It's interesting. It's more like an individual choice, but everything's relational. So I definitely think it applies to, especially for today's discussion on avoidance. In this particular case, this woman had a tendency of anytime there was a relapse or something that was really painful and difficult for her in her marriage, she would feel pressure just from herself, from the way she was raised, even sometimes from her husband, to just move through it really quickly, just to get it over with, just to move back to normal.
So everybody can feel happy sooner.
Yeah, and the thing is, she was really good at it.
Sure.
She knew how to.
Survival.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we learn how to do the dances that keep things smooth.
Yeah. Until she couldn't.
Right.
Anymore.
Okay.
Right.
So it was at her expense.
Yeah.
And so it became unmanageable.
Right. And I don't know that he really even understood that this was not working or healthy, because in a way he was benefiting from it too, kind of like that dance we were talking about, that collusion that can happen where it just resets the temperature and it's all fine. In one of our meetings, I just asked her, I said, well, what if you didn't apologize for the way you felt and you just allowed yourself to stay there for as long as you needed to and just kind of see where it goes? And she was actually really scared that she's like, I don't know what's at the end of this. I don't know where this is going to take me. I think she'd always had a fear that if she let this run its course, or she just allowed herself to feel it, that it would have serious consequences or worst case scenario or some disaster outcomes. But she tried it.
Okay.
And came back the next week and said that she was shocked how nice it felt and how nothing horrible happened, but she felt so much more relaxed. And nothing was even necessarily resolved. Nothing had been like fixed per se. She's like, I'm still hurting. I'm still not okay with what happened, but I'm not feeling anxious or guilty or that I'm doing something wrong and I'm holding everything up, or that I'm making this worse because I'm feeling something painful.
Oh, yeah. So just the beginning of being able to just show up as a person who's affected by this whole thing, and that counts for something. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was just such a simple thing that I think ultimately has huge relationship implications down the road, because now, right, her partner has to now sit with it. He doesn't get to just escape out of it with her and just everybody just go back to normal. He's sitting with it and doing more self-reflecting. And it's so cool just to see how one person's commitment to just stay real about it can start to shift the whole dynamic for the relationship.
Mm-hmm. Before we wrap up, you made a comment that I just want to push back on a little bit.
Oh, okay.
You said, things were working for him, so he had no idea. There was no way for him to, and I want to push back on that. That I do believe that it is a husband's responsibility to be aware of or finding out if things are like working for his wife. And I don't think she's shifting things, and the dynamic is going to shift.
Yeah.
Because she's going to step out of playing that role, which is amazing.
Yeah.
I also don't think it is solely her responsibility to reveal that to him, that just because things seem to be going well and he's riding the wave of that doesn't mean it's not equally his responsibility to make sure that everybody's on a wave together.
I think I know what you mean. Are you talking about riding the new wave of her sitting with it and he's benefiting from that? Or
I'm
are you talking about the collusion?
I'm talking about the earlier collusion. I don't think it's right to talk about it in terms of, he didn't know. How could he know? And I just feel like he could know. Maybe men are not as relational, but I do think they are as relationally responsible. And I think in too many relationships, we just kind of give them a pass because the women just do the relational thing. And I don't think that's right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't want to do the disservice of talking about it. Like, how would he know? Well, he's a part of the relationship. And if he is claiming to love and care for her, he needs to find out what's working for her. And what's not working for her. That's his responsibility.
Yep. I love that. I'm right on board with you. I'd have to go back and listen to what I said because in my heart.
Yeah, I'm not trying to
no, I know
throw
it's
you
fine.
under the bus.
I'm not worried about that.
Okay.
I think this is a good discussion. I think it's important to tease this out. I think if anything, what I was trying to say is that he would have been riding this wave or just benefiting from it in his own way of being able to just not have to look at anything. That pattern served the avoidance he may have had. That's not healthy. And that I agree. And I love the language you put around it, that he absolutely needs to pick up on the distance, the dynamic, that something's off, that it's not her job just to take the temperature all the time.
Or just only be taking his own temperature. Things are great because I'm fine.
Yeah.
It goes further than that.
Right.
If you're going to be in a healthy, connected relationship.
Yeah. Can he sense that she's not okay?
Or ask. I don't even think he has to sense, but he has to care enough to be trying to get information from her.
Yeah. Don't misunderstand me. I'm saying sense to do something about it. Like that he would pick up on and then ask about it. Not that he's going to mind read and just know exactly what she's feeling. I'm talking about that he would detect in the environment that something's off and then handle it.
Sure, but I'm actually we're going to keep going.
This is good.
I'm actually saying that he may not be able to detect. And I think that's unfair to impose that on people. Maybe they can't detect, and that's okay, and that's a skill that can be learned. Yeah. But in the not detecting, they can still care enough to ask, to be engaging somebody and finding out, are things working for you? And not just only assuming that because their temperature is good, everybody else's temperature is good. That's what I'm talking about.
Just as a practice.
Yes.
Just as a practice, as a way of living, have built in a care and concern, and not assuming you know exactly what's going on for everybody, but asking and just leaning in and being willing to open that up and learn something.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I love that. Thank you. Thank you for deepening that discussion. I love the struggle. I love trying to tease that apart, and I think it can be helpful.
Well, and I love that she just got a taste of just owning where she's at and letting that be a part of the reality, the conversation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it very much is. And her experience belongs as an important part of it.
Yeah. Fantastic.
So
Yep.
thanks for sharing that.